everyone, welcome back to my channel. The channel that's useful for language teachers who are into edtech, business mindset, online teaching, or teaching in general. So in today's video, I wanted to address something that I normally don't address because of because this channel is like not meant for that, but I know that there are a lot of people who, there are, and there has been, and I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people who will ask me this question, so I can just simply record this video and tell them to just watch it whenever they are like in this situation. And so you may have already seen by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about big red flags when it comes to hiring process or whatever within the language teaching community. So these are huge red flags from my perspective. This does not mean that probably the place that you're applying to is not like a good place, but just like these are things that you need to take into consideration, because for me there were red flags and I didn't know that until I started working at those places. So, and I will be speaking from my experience and from some like colleagues' experience. So yeah, if you were my employer and you are watching this video, no you're not. Yeah, no you're not. Anyway, so let's get into the video. You know the drill. If you like to see more content like this one, then click subscribe and like this video if you already know that what I'm about to say is a gem. And leave a comment down below if you would like me to like talk a bit more, or if you happen to have any questions. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I give you guys and girls and theys daily updates whenever I can. I'm gonna leave my Instagram link in the description box. Anyway, so let's get into the video because we're 2 minutes in. So the first red flag, I think, is when it comes to let's just start right there. When it comes to how much money they're gonna pay. Oh my god, I cannot believe I cannot believe how many people still work for certain places after finding out how much money they're gonna pay them. Like, do not get me wrong, there are some places that of course you are not, they're getting you the students, they're giving you all of the resources, but sometimes it's just too low. It's just too low. It's an unlivable wage. You really have to think about how many hours per day will you have to work, or how many hours per month will you have to work in order to pay rent, pay food, pay like silly stuff that you want to buy, go and do something like for your skincare routine, whatever, and then save money. Once you really start thinking about that, is quite I would say that it's not like alarming, but at the same time it is. So let me get straight to this. So I was once talking to a friend of mine. She was she's a language teacher, and she was working for a company that was paying her like $1, $2 per hour. So yeah, the silence was too loud. And why I think that this is not okay? First of all, because it really shows how much value they place when it comes to language teaching, and when it comes to teachers and teachers' lives, teachers' jobs, and yeah. So you're wasting 1 hour of your life for $1, for $2, while some of these companies make 10 times more, sometimes even 20 times more. It really depends on like where they are getting their clients from. But yeah, so when it comes to the money, how much they're paying you, and if they are paying for everything else. And by everything else I mean, are they paying for your like retirement? Are they paying for your things like social security or insurance and all of that? Because if they are not providing you with all of these things, then you really gotta reconsider working for that place. Because if you really wanna be working like legally and you wanna pay your taxes, then you gotta like whatever, like $1, $2 you're making, then you gotta subtract the money that you have to pay the government or probably an accountant. So yeah, money first. Secondly, when it comes to sick days, because oh my god, this is such, I think that nobody talks about this, I think I have never talked about sick days with lots of teachers, and I'm talking about places which are private, not like if you work for a school or something. No. Because there are some companies that, of course, they hire you and they want you to be a freelancer, but you want to work for them, and they decide your pay and they decide your hours, which is not technically what you will be doing. I mean, it's not like if you're a freelancer, you should be the one putting a price tag on your services, not the other way around. And if you're a freelancer, you are supposed to be the one who gets to decide what hours you're gonna get and what you're going to like teach. So yeah, that's basically a way of avoiding taxes for them, because they don't have to like hire you legally, and so they have basically no responsibility. So this happens. So when it comes to sick days, there are different ways of handling this, but this is just one thing that I've noticed, and this is something that's general. It has happened in a company that I used to work for, but I know from friends that this also happens to them, which is the fact that if you do not work because you're sick, like the usual thing would be to ask for like a doctor certificate or something, and then your absence would be like justified, or when you would not perceive some sort of deduction from your salary, which is like the good thing, or like the ethical thing to do. Like, you don't choose to be sick, sickness chose you. But yeah, anyways, I think when I used to work for a company, and again, some others, is like if you were sick, you had to show a medical certificate, which meant that you had to pay like to a doctor, which, I mean, that is quite some money if you really think about it. But not only that, but the fact that you were still not getting that money, like the money that you were supposed to like gain on that specific day. So if you were absent and you were supposed to make like $10, $20, $30 on that day, you were absent, you're not getting that money, but you still have to provide them with a medical certificate. Why is that? So if you're really thinking about joining like an academy, language school, whatever, really, you think about sick days. Because I believe that that's how certain academies, certain language schools show their true colors. Because if they are willing to, if you're sick for 3 days, that means that you're not going to pay for those 3 days, right? So that really impacts a teacher's salary if you're being paid peanuts, basically. And if you're not, then that's like common sense. Like, you don't choose to be sick, you're just sick, you got sick, whatever. And if they do not pay for those sick days, then it really speaks volumes. And in my opinion, this is just from my perspective, just really think about whether or not you like to work for that company, even if they're paying you like a lot of money. Just really think about that. The next thing, the third thing I think that you should be really careful is basically when it comes to like professional development And by no means I refer this as, I mean, to like, okay, you becoming like an assistant director of studies or like an academic manager. No. But just like teacher training in general. Like, do they provide that? And if so, is it paid? Is it something that you get paid in order to do that? This is not like a make or break thing, but I really think that if it's mandatory for teachers to attend, this is just my point of view. I'm speaking like in general. If you are asking teachers to attend, then it should be paid. End of story. Why? Because it's their time, and they could be using that time to do something else. And you're asking them to go to that conference or whatever because they need to go and they have to go and whatever, and it's mandatory. You gotta pay for their time. There are a few, and just like, yeah, there are a few exceptions to this, in my opinion. But more often than not, I would agree that if you are requiring teachers, or if you're being required to attend certain teacher trainings, then either they have to be paid if they're outside of your like work schedule, or they need to be within your work schedule because they're already paying you for that. And this is the fourth thing. And if you're here, thank you. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you would like to know more about things like this, and like this video if you have liked this so far. Leave a comment down below also. I would love to chat with you. Also follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description box. Okay, let's continue. And the fourth thing I'd like to address is basically when it comes to exclusivity. And I believe that this mainly happens, this is just my point of view, my experience, and some friends' experiences as well, because they have, we have talked about it, and unfortunately sometimes we do have to agree that certain things happen in certain places. And this is just, generally speaking, when you're working in a place that's small, like small town or small city, you are, and this is sometimes in the contract that you sign, you are expected to work for that specific company. You cannot work for any other place. Unless it's, of course, like a public school or whatever, but sometimes it's not even that. So you're really gonna know if it's worth the time and the money that you will be getting if you're not able to work elsewhere. This has happened to me like 2 or 3 times. You were expected to work for that specific place and that specific place only. And you cannot work elsewhere. You cannot work for the competition. Which, in my opinion, it's like, if they're not paying you enough to make a sustainable living, then you have no choice but to work for somebody else who's giving you more work. Otherwise, if they don't want you to be working for the competition, then pay them a sustainable living. And I'm not talking about places that hire you on a full-time, like you are working for them full-time. Like if you're working for them full-time, it's like understandable that you gotta work for them only. But I'm talking about places that hire you part-time and they expect you to not to work for other places, or places that hire you on a freelance basis, and but you're technically not a freelancer because you're not legally an employee of the company, just provide your services, but in reality you are an employee. So they just hire you for like what? They pay you for like 10 hours per week, and they pay you peanuts, and they expect you not to work in another place? Yeah. That's not gonna work. Why? Because unless they're paying you a huge ton of money, then that's not how you're gonna, I mean, how are you gonna live? Like, it really makes no sense. Like, how are you gonna pay rent if they don't pay you enough? And of course, if they pay you enough, I mean, if you work 10 hours and you get paid enough to pay your rent, to pay for food, to pay for clothes, to pay for whatever you need to do, and also to save money, why on earth would someone go and work for a different place unless they have to, unless they need to? So that's another thing. Like, when it comes to, if you're really thinking about working for a place, just ask about exclusivity. Ask about whether they expect you to be an employee, even though sometimes they hire you on a freelance basis, on a freelancer like contract, even though you're not a freelancer in real life. But anyways, if they expect you to work for that specific place, and what happens if you decide to work for another academy or another language school or whatever? Like, will they have an issue with that? There are some schools that don't have an issue with that, which in my opinion are, I wouldn't say like 70%, but like 70% of the schools do not have an issue with that. Because again, they don't hire you on a full-time contract. And of course they know that, okay, if you're working for them for like 15 hours and it's what you're getting for those 15 hours, let's say, it's not a livable wage at the end of the month, because you gotta pay like a lot of stuff and that doesn't add up. And that doesn't help. So yeah, of course they will have no issues. But sometimes when they hire you on a full-time, when you're there on a full-time contract, then it's expected of you to not work for the competition. But yeah, again, just ask, because I've been hired like part-time, and I was expected to work at that specific place only, even though I was there part-time. And then I've been hired in different places full-time, and me working for a different company was not an issue. But this is also something that I've learned that I need to ask first. And even when you are having like an interview, like what's your take on private students? What's your take on me working for a different school at the same time? Some of them don't have a problem, some of them do. It's really a matter of just asking, and also reading contracts really carefully. And yeah, so that was the end of the video. If you would like to see more videos like this one, then please comment down below and subscribe to my channel and like this video. And if you didn't like this video, then let me know in the comments why you didn't like it so that I could improve. I will see you in the next video, hopefully soon. Bye bye.